What is up, everyone? My name is Jack Southall, back again with another WrestleMania review, and today I'm here with my WrestleMania VI review. It is the Ultimate Challenge. Of course, in the main event, Hulk Hogan, the WWF Champion, takes on the Ultimate Warrior, the Intercontinental Champion, as both belts are on the line in one of the craziest and best main events in WrestleMania history, but we'll get to that later on. Tonight, it's taking place in the Toronto Skydome in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. This would be the first of two times they would travel overseas for WrestleMania, the other being at WrestleMania 18 in the exact same building, nevertheless. So, yeah, let's just get right into the show. So, this would be, I think, the last time we hear Gorilla Monsoon and Jesse the Body Ventura on commentary together. I think after this, Bobby Heenan takes over. So, Robert Goulet sings Oh Canada instead of America the Beautiful, because, you know, we're in fucking Canada, so why would they sing America the Beautiful there? We open up the show with Coco Be Ware taking on Rick the Model Martel. Now, at last year's WrestleMania, he turned heel on his Strikeforce partner Tito Santana, and would later form the model gimmick, which was just fantastic. I love the model Rick Martel gimmick, and when he would spray people with arrogance, that would be the name of his spray, the arrogance. Just, that's so fucking good, man. But Koko, he did alright in this match. He was okay. Martel wins the match, locking in a Boston Crab on him. And yeah, I think it was just a nice showcase for Rick Martel's new character, which I loved. I feel like he's one of the more underrated heels that don't really get that much recognition when it comes to great heels at the 80s and early 90s era. But then again, there were just so many good heels and just good characters in general at this time. So it was kind of hard to just name all of them. So, but yeah, Rick the Model Martel, what a character, man. After that was the Colossal Connection, Andre the Giant and Haku defending the WWF Tag Team titles against Demolition. So the crowd was crazy for this match, as Demolition were super over. The fans loved Demolition. And Haku went to kick the opponents, but ducked and instead kicked Andre with the super kick there. Demolition hit their tag team finisher to win back the tag team titles. I think they may have lost it to the Brain Busters, and then they lost it to the Colossal Connection. I'm not sure what happened there. But Heenan, after the match, is outraged at Andre for losing and costing them the tag team titles. So he goes up, just yells in his face, slaps him a couple of times. But Andre, he's had enough of it. He's had enough of Heenan's bullshit. He grabs him by the shirt and then slaps him back, kicks him out of the ring, and then Haku goes to super kick Andre, but then he fights back and rides off into the sunset. So I think this was his final WrestleMania appearance. I know he'd show up at later events, but I'm not sure WrestleMania. So a few years later in 1993, Andre would pass away, unfortunately. But yeah, he just rode off, you know, into the sunset, unknowing at the time. But yeah, it was an alright match for Andre to send himself off on. So yeah, Andre will be an important part of WrestleMania, and he will never be forgotten in the history books. Let's just say that. After that was Hercules versus Earthquake with Jimmy Hart in his corner. Earthquake, he was an interesting character, man. I really liked his character. He was like this unstoppable monster at the time who would like send his opponents on a stretcher after repeatedly hitting them with his finishing move, the Aftershock, which he'd basically run off the ropes and then just fly and sit on the opponent's stomach, or like rib area, which would hurt a lot. So Earthquake won the match against Hercules by hitting the Aftershock on him. So yeah, Earthquake was a very interesting character. I like how he would do interviews. He would like shake his body a bit so it looks like he was creating an earthquake. It was pretty cool. Miss Elizabeth actually gets interviewed by Rona Barrett, who was like a gossip interviewer at the time, and she asks, you know, Miss Elizabeth, why aren't you as active near ringside anymore as you used to be since WrestleMania 5 when she parted ways with Randy Savage? And she basically says, you know, she didn't think that she could help out as much as she used to, and she was upset with herself that she didn't help out as much as she could have. So, bit self-reflective. She feels like, maybe I just don't want to get in anyone's business, that kind of stuff. Which, fair enough, you know. It shows that she can. She's not full of herself at all. She was just a sweetheart overall, as a character. So, we had Mr. Perfect with the Genius, the brother of Macho Man Randy Savage, taking on Brutus the Barber Beefcake. Perfect put on a pretty good showing in this match, but he ended up getting slingshotted into the turnbuckle, got rolled up for Perfect to receive his first loss in WWF. Now, Brutus Beefcake as Mr. Perfect's first loss. Now, obviously, this wouldn't hurt him in the slightest, considering where his career would end up, becoming a multiple-time Intercontinental Champion, was one of the greatest technical wrestlers of all time. But, like, Brutus Beefcake? I mean, no, not knocking Brutus or anything, but, like, you'd think you'd have someone bigger for him, like maybe the Ultimate Warrior or Hogan, like, something like that. But after the match, Brutus locked in a sleeper hold on the Genius and basically cut his hair in the ring, you know, embarrassing the Genius and all that. So that was kind of fun, I guess. After that, we got a weird match. Bad News Brown taking on Rowdy Roddy Piper. So the build-up to this match was Piper eliminated Bad News Brown from the Royal Rumble match. But then Bad News Brown then eliminated Piper after he got thrown out, as the two then would throw fists at each other outside. And then 3 weeks later on the Wrestling Challenge show, Bad News Brown was getting interviewed, and Piper came out. He was getting insulted constantly, telling him, you know, shave those legs, Piper, and all that. And the two fought again. And then before the match, Piper got interviewed by Mean Gene, and for some reason, painted half of his body black. I don't know why he did it. Many people at the time, and people still do, kind of see it as racism, as like a racist thing, because, you know, Bad News Brown is black, haha, and all that stuff. So, according to Piper, though, he never really saw it that way. He was inspired by the song True Colors by Cyndi Lauper or something like that. He was singing it while he was going to the ring. And funny story, after the match, Piper went to take the black paint off. He was meant to use a special solution to take it off, but it was actually just water, so he couldn't wash it off properly. It was actually a rib by Andre the Giant and Arnold Skyland, or if that was his name, and it didn't come off properly, so he had to go through customs the next day, basically painted half black, and it took him 3 weeks in a sauna to get all that stuff off. So, poor Piper, man, he got ribbed in that situation. So, Piper was hitting Brown with a white glove, and it ended in a double countout. By the way, get used to these just countout victories in general for this show. I think there was like 3 countout endings. Like, it was so bad, man. We had the Hart Foundation beat the Bolsheviks in a 19-second match. Great. Not Bret's best match. Obviously, he'd have much better matches coming up soon. But yeah, this isn't it for Bret. And then we had the Barbarian with Bobby the Brain Heenan in their corner versus Tito Santana. The Barbarian wins with a really cool top rope clothesline, but it looks like it really hurt Santana as well. So, poor guy. After that was the first ever mixed tag team match in WWF, apparently. Dusty Rhodes and Sapphire taking on the Macho King, Randy Savage, and Sensational Queen Sherri. Did Randy Savage win King of the Ring? Because I went to look it up if he won the 1988 King of the Ring, and I don't think he won it. He might have, I'm not sure. But at the Royal Rumble, while he was on Brother Love's talk show, Macho King ran in the ring to look like he was going to attack Sapphire, but then Dusty Rhodes made the run-in to hopefully save her. And then the week before WrestleMania, Sherri tried to interfere in Dusty Rhodes' match, but then Sapphire stopped her and threw her out. And Dusty Rhodes then announces that Miss Elizabeth will be their manager for the match, as Randy Savage is just fuming about it, which was Great on his part. And then at the end of the match, Sherri tried to run out of the ring, but then Elizabeth threw her back in as Sapphire pins her to get the win. And a pretty fun match, actually. I didn't mind it. Afterwards, Mean Gene Okerlund interviewed Bobby Heenan about all of his family members of the Heenan family leaving him, and he utters the infamous line, "You listen to me, you go to the top. You don't listen to me, you're never heard from again." And he's basically still outraged that Andre walked out on his family. And yeah, great promo by Bobby Heenan. He said his most famous line ever. And then, yeah, that was just the start of just a group of interviews that took place during the intermission of this show. And both men in the main event, Hulk Hogan and the Ultimate Warrior, cut their own promos. Hogan said that Hulkamania is running wild, which that line was used in the WWE intro for like 2005 to about 2012. That was before the Then Now Forever thing. And he says it's not about whenever you win or lose, it's about what kind of a winner or loser you are, and Hope's Warrior is a good loser. So he's kind of pointing out that you know, whoever wins or loses will be a good winner or loser. So a bit of foreshadowing for what would take place later on in the night. However, Ultimate Warrior, he would cut very different promos. While Hogan, you can kind of tell what he was saying, even though he was very intense, Warrior was just full-on intensity. You could barely hear what he was talking about half the time, and basically says no one lives forever, and he hopes to bring the Warriors and Hulkamaniacs together, and just cuts another crazy shouting promo, which was just kind of his thing. After that was a tag match, which was pretty decent. It was the Orient Express with Mr. Fuji in their corner, taking on the Rockers. And Fuji hit Jannetty with his cane, and he was chasing him around with the cane, but then Sato, which was one of the members of the Orient Express, threw salt in his eyes, blinding him, causing the second count-out victory of the night, or the count-out finish for the Orient Express to win the match. So, wow, loving these count-out victories at fucking WrestleMania. Jesus, man. After that was Dino Bravo with Jimmy Hart in the corner, and Earthquake, taking on Hacksaw Jim Duggan, and he kind of got a mixed reception, but it was mostly cheers. It was like 60% cheers and 40% boos, maybe not even that, because he did come out with the US flag, and he even chanted USA, despite being in Canada, and he kind of stopped halfway, because like, yeah, probably shouldn't be chanting USA in Canada. I mean, that's not going to get you over, buddy. The Canadian actually got booed, which was surprising, which was Dino Bravo. Jim Duggan won the match by smacking the 2x4 while the ref was distracted, but then after the match he got assaulted by Earthquake. He hit like 3 aftershocks on him, and yeah, Duggan was basically dead. After that was the $1 Million Championship match. Yes, there was actually a match for the $1 Million title between Ted DiBiase with Virgil in his corner, of course, and Jake the Snake Roberts. On the 5th of May, 1989 episode of Superstars, Roberts went to put Damien on Virgil when DiBiase attacked him from behind, locking in the $1 Million Dream until he passed out. And 6 months later, I think this was when DiBiase revealed his $1 Million Championship and challenged Jake the Snake to a match for the title, and Roberts ran into the ring to accept the challenge. So before that, Roberts cut a really good promo before the match, saying is that DiBiase will be fighting for everything he stands for when he comes to that belt, and that he doesn't forget what he's done to the unfortunate people who need money more than he does, making them beg and grovel, and how in this match he'll be the one that begs and grovels to get the belt, wallowing in the muck of Aravich or whatever. So throughout the match, Roberts just tried to get the DDT on DiBiase, but he just kept escaping every time, and you can just see Jake Roberts getting frustrated. DiBiase locked in the $1 Million Dream, but then Roberts had his foot on the rope to break it up. He locks it in again, but on the outside, and gets rolled back into the ring by Virgil to win the match. So yeah, another count-out victory in a match that was going pretty well. It even had a good build-up to it and everything, but lost a count-out because I think this was their way of keeping both guys strong, although that wasn't how you could have gone about it, honestly. But after the match, Jake hits the DDT on DiBiase, and gives some of DiBiase's money to some of the fans at ringside, and stuffs a dollar bill in DiBiase's mouth, which is a bit of karma to DiBiase after doing that to so many opponents. And then he was going to put Damien on DiBiase, but then Virgil grabs him out of the ring and they chase to the back. So it was a promising match, but once again, the ending was just disappointing with another count-out ending. Afterwards was Akeem with Slick in his corner taking on the Big Boss Man. Former Twin Tower tag team partners, but now they're no longer together. So when Boss Man was coming to the ring, DiBiase attacked him from behind. This was because the Big Boss Man would not accept money from Ted DiBiase, which caused him to turn face and to break up the Twin Towers tag team. Despite that, he managed to beat him in under 2 minutes. So Big Boss Man powering through despite getting beat up from behind by Ted DiBiase. So after that, we had Rhythm and Blues, which were Honky Tonk Man and Greg the Hammer Valentine, alongside Jimmy Hart. They were going to perform their new song, Honky Love, and they got booed from the crowd, obviously. And then Honky Tonk points out some merch sellers at ringside. You know, he's like, oh, what are you doing at ringside while I'm performing and all that? Turns out it was the Bushwhackers as the merch sellers, and they get in the ring and smash up Rhythm and Blues guitars. So, yeah, great banter there. After that was Ravishing Rick Rude with Bobby the Brain Heenan taking on Superfly Jimmy Snuka. Rick Rude hits the Rude Awakening on Snuka to get the win, and it was basically an average showcase match to build up Rick Rude's character. So, yeah, fair enough, I guess. But let's talk about this main event. Boy, oh boy. The WWF and Intercontinental Championships on the line. Hulk Hogan, the WWF Champion, taking on the Ultimate Warrior, the Intercontinental Champion, in the Ultimate Challenge. Man, this match. I could just go on about this match for days, but the build-up for this was both men basically squared off at the Royal Rumble, had a bit of a stare down, and they threw a few punches and all that. And the crowd reaction to that was just explosive. Fans wanted to see this match. They were the two most over baby faces in the company, and they just want to see those two collide. So on Saturday night's main event, a week later, both men won a tag match until they were attacked by Mr. Perfect and the Genius. Warrior, being all lost in the moment, trying to save their asses, accidentally clotheslines Hogan. And then on the main event on February 23rd, Earthquake, I think, was wrestling the Ultimate Warrior, and he was about to hit a second rope aftershock on him until Hogan came to the rescue. And then 2 weeks later on Superstars, Hogan fought Earthquake in a match and was getting attacked afterwards when Warrior came for the save. But Hogan kept backing him off, and he was about to clothesline Hogan as well. So it was they had respect for each other, but you can feel that tension building up, which is what made the match even better, man. Like, this crowd was so electric throughout this whole match. Like, they did not go to sleep at one point during this match. I mean, so kudos to the fucking Toronto crowd, and even to Edge, who was in the crowd for WrestleMania VI, and he would go on to become a big star for the WWE, even main eventing a WrestleMania, so good on him. So the start was basically a test of power between the two guys, and I have to think this would be the most even challenge either man had had. They were both just as powerful as each other, and I felt like this match was one of the best representations of the golden era of WWF, which was 1984 to around 92, 93. Just had strong, colourful characters that the fans connected to, and they were fighting for huge stakes, being not just WWF champion, but also Intercontinental champion as well. It raised the prestige of the Intercontinental title a lot in this match. And Warrior locked Hogan into a bear hug, but then he powered out, and he went for a running clothesline, but then inadvertently ran into the ref. Hogan went for the pin, but the ref is knocked out. The Warrior does the same thing until the ref wakes up, but he kicks out at 2. Warrior then hits the Gorilla Press and splash to the back of Hogan, but he powers out at 2. He hulks up, he hits the big boot, he goes for the leg drop, but then Warrior moves out of the way, hits the splash on the back again to win the WWF title and retain the Intercontinental title in one of the best main events in WrestleMania history. It was fantastic. And then after the match, Hogan, being the better man, gave the WWF title to Ultimate Warrior as they hugged in the middle of the ring while the Ultimate Warrior celebrated in the middle of the ring. So, yeah, this would have to be the best moment in Ultimate Warrior's career. And like what Gorilla Monsoon even said on commentary, Hulk Hogan took one more step towards immortality that night. It was so good, man. It's just it was worth sitting through, you know, all of those meaningless count-out victory matches and all that stuff, but at least the main event paid off, man. And at the end of the day, that's all you could ever ask for. So yeah, what an incredible moment for the Ultimate Warrior and for Hulk Hogan as well. So that wraps up the show there. My match of the night, main event. No need to explain, I just explained it. How am I going to rate this show? I'm going to give it a 6.5. 6.5 because that main event was so fucking good. Oh my god, it was so good. The rest of the card, though, the count-out endings were just annoying. But some of the other matches were pretty damn decent. Like the mixed tag match was pretty good, I will say. Pretty fun match. And yeah, that's going to be about it for this review, actually. Thank you guys for watching. And make sure to leave a like. Comment down below your thoughts on WrestleMania 6. And if you want to see more from me, hit that subscribe button. You'd be glad you did. Twitter and Instagram's at JackalMetalOL31 if you want to check me out there. Thank you so much for watching, and I'm out in 3, 2, 1.